From Springtide Research Institute, this is 13 to 25, a podcast where we explore how young people ages 13 to 25 grow into identity, spirituality, and well-being. Through research and real conversations, we hear directly from youth and young adults, as well as the experts and practitioners who walk alongside them. We're here to share lived experiences, big questions, and hopeful insights into what it means to support emerging generations today. In the between of being and becoming, this is 13 to 25.
Hello, welcome back to 13 to 25. We are having so much fun in this season talking to young people from all over the U.S. They're youth and young adults in our Springtide Ambassadors program, and they're sharing examples from their own lives about organizational involvement. That's what Springtide has been studying all throughout 2025. And our Springtide Ambassadors bring our findings to life in so many different ways. You might see them in a blog post. You might hear them in an Instagram live. You might notice them in some sort of interview with public media. A podcast is another way that we bring our research to life. So as we're releasing findings about organizational involvement this year, we wanted these episodes to coincide with the data that's going to be soon going out into the world. So we're recording these episodes during the summer. School's still going for some of us, based on the sessions that we're in, but it is some summer vibes a little bit in each of our states. So we have young people coast to coast right now coming to you today. If you don't know me, I'm Marte Aboagye. I'm the head of engagement at Springtide Research Institute. I love working with our Springtide ambassadors, and let's have the two that are with me today introduce themselves.
Hi, so I'm Russell. I'm currently 16 and I live in Maryland.
We're both in Maryland. It's something
Yes.
that Russell and I enjoy, that we don't live too far away.
Yeah, and you actually went to my musical that
Loved
that
it. I got to see Russell in Mary Poppins. I don't often get to see our Springtide ambassadors live in person. It's a virtual program, but since Russell was not too far from where I live in Maryland, I got to see a high school play production. And as a former theater kid, it was a very cool experience for me to see what an awesome theater program his high school has. It was a really great production. So yes, Maryland vibes. Is that like an identity? If you gave one hobby or interest that is important to who you are, would you point to theater or would you point to something else, Russell?
Theater is definitely up there. It's definitely very important since I've done it since freshman year.
Nice.
So I'm currently a rising senior now, so one more musical to go.
Yeah, that's a little sad. I don't know if you're there yet, if you're sad, but you start kind of pre-grieving something you've loved ending.
Yeah, it can get pretty emotional from what I've seen.
Have they said what the final musical is going to be for your senior year?
It's called Something Rotten.
I've seen Something Rotten. I saw it when I lived in New York.
Nice.
Okay, Shruthakeerthi is having a big reaction. So do you know this show as well?
Yes, I'm not a theater kid myself, but I love musicals. So yes, I do.
You know Something Rotten. It's a fun one. Like, it's lots of jokes, clever song numbers. Maybe I'll have to attend that one too. So love that about you, Russell. Shruthakeerthi, I already previewed who you are just by, I liked seeing your reaction of your excitement to Something Rotten. But will you introduce yourself too, please?
Yes. Hello, everyone. My name is Shruthakeerthi. I'm 18 years old and I'm living in California right now. I just finished my freshman year in college, so I'm doing transfer. A very dear hobby of mine is pottery and honestly all art. I love art. And and music. But pottery is something that keeps me grounded and something I love going back to.
That is so cool. Do you have a way to even do that at home, or do you have to go to a studio? Have you done it in a course in college? How do you get to practice pottery?
So I started off doing it in college, and then I started working at a pottery studio, and I loved it so much that I annoyed my parents enough to buy me a wheel. I don't have any of the firing equipment here, but
yeah.
I drive back to my workplace and they fire it for me. They're so nice.
Okay, that's awesome. Because it is a hobby that requires a fair bit of equipment or access to that equipment.
Yes.
So you have the wheel at home, but then you take it elsewhere for firing it. Okay, I didn't know this about you. That is a really cool hobby. So we have two artistic people here. We're dipping into multiple creative arts just in your intros alone with theater, pottery, Maryland to California, 16, finishing out high school, 18, first year of college under your belt. Different stages of life a bit, but I'm really excited to know what organization has impacted you. Maybe there's multiple ones, but if you could dial into one, we'll get there in just a moment. Let's first hear how you would describe your personality, or maybe it's easier to imagine how your friends might describe your personality in just a few words. What would they say, or what would you say about yourself?
Ooh.
So I've been pinned by basically all my friends and then beyond my friend group as the smart guy, like the one who they always go to me for like answering questions, for like academic stuff. And they always I can't really describe, put it into like one word, but whenever there's like something that needs to be done, they just look at me and say, Russell probably has the thing that is required to
You're
get
the
that
go-to
done.
guy is what I'm catching.
It's like one time, like one of my friends needed a Post-it note, and like obviously most of my friends don't carry Post-it notes. I just take out my pencil case and said, "Here's some Post-it notes."
You're resourced. You're ready. You're equipped.
Yeah.
You have answers. You're very prepared for all different scenarios. I like that, Russell.
Yeah.
What would you say about yourself, or your friends would say about you, Shruthakeerthi?
Ooh. I have a little sticker on my water bottle that says the personality of citric acid, where I really enjoyed that sticker because I found myself to be quite a sarcastic person. So I think I'm pretty sarcastic. I'm a little mean at times, but that's my love language, you know? That's the way I show love to the people that I love being around.
That is a very specific type of bumper sticker. Like, it's not one you come across often. So did a friend find that for you, or you came upon it yourself?
Honestly, I have no clue. I've had it for so long. It's just been part of the water bottle. So I'm gonna assume that's my person. Maybe somebody gave it to me.
Describes you.
I would hope so.
However it came to you, it was on the nose and it fits you well. I love it.
Got on. Yep.
Well,
so I'm like responsibly funky, I would say. You know, like you can put a lemon on anything, basically. It works well with any citrus.
Yes.
Yeah.
It brings out other flavors. It gives it that pop, that zing. It's a good addition. So we got the go-to. No, well, some people, my toddler will ask to eat lemon by himself, but maybe he's just a quirky kid. So most people are adding it to something, and it's that great mix. So we got the go-to person in Russell. Like, he's ready, he's prepared, whether it's answers or that Post-it note, he's on it. And Shruthakeerthi's adding that pop, that zing, the extra flavor element that makes it more dynamic and exciting. So good to be with you both again. Shruthakeerthi, will you first share the organization or the place or group, the club, whatever you're going to expound upon that has really had a positive impact on your life? Let us know how you first got involved, why you keep coming back, any examples that bring it to life for us.
Sure. I used to move around a lot when I was younger, and being where I am right now is the longest I've ever been in one place. And that's only like 3 years. So an organization or group was always pretty hard for me to find. But last year, when I moved back to California, I started doing jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu has become a really big part of my life. I started doing it. I started joining the classes when I I just wanted to start a martial arts. I'd done an Indian martial art right before I started jiu-jitsu, and I was like, I need to get into a routine. I need to get into some sort of discipline. So I started doing jujitsu, and it started to be a lot more than just a physical activity class that I took in the evening. It really became like a family to me. The people at the gym, the competitions that we go to, those are such key moments in my life, and they help me to keep going in college, to help me improve in the way I see the world in so many different ways. And it's, yes, perhaps it's just, jujitsu, but I saw an Instagram reel the other day that was like, jujitsu is mindfulness, in the sense that you have to really be aware when you're there, aware of your body, but aware of the way that you're thinking. So it is kind of more than just a physical activity to me. It's
Right.
it's an experience. I need to be aware of myself, and I need to take care of myself outside of class too, so that I can perform well in class. So that means, sleeping well, sleeping at the right time, eating well, so it becomes more of a lifestyle rather than just a class in the evening. And
Totally.
yeah, and to highlight more about, the organization part of it, uh, yes, it is definitely just a class, but I think the teammates that I have inside, we hang out outside of class all the time. I've made so many friends there, and it kind of anchors me in the sense that I have something to look forward to at the end of the day, whether or not I like what's going on in college or anywhere else. That's a place where I can go and just be with people that I enjoy being around and do what I love doing. And that's what keeps me going back.
Oh, that's lovely. It's really cool to hear how foundational it's become in your life in a relatively short time. Like you said, you've lived different places, but now that you're living in California in this current season, yeah, you said it's an anchor. It's been this place that's become so grounding to you while you're going through a lot of other changes, or each trimester is maybe looking or feeling different, but you know that this is like a place of consistency, it sounds like, both in the mental, physical connection it's providing, like that clarity or that sort of thing. I'm overwhelmed by life, but I know I can get rooted back down through this practice. You mentioned there's competitions too, and how the relationships have become so significant to you. People you didn't know beforehand going into it even. How is it structured that the competitions, are you competing against the people you're normally training with? Like, does that impede relationships at all? Or you only, I guess I don't know how the competition factor works into the relationships.
Yeah, so competitions, jiu-jitsu is a pretty worldwide sport, mainly practiced in Brazil, of course, but Americas took it up pretty strongly. So competitions are run by certain organizations where you compete against someone that you don't know at all. Usually,
Okay.
they're not from the same gym. If so, they're organized by weight class, kind of like wrestling. So if somehow you fall in the same weight class, same belt as the same person in your gym, and you guys are the only two people there, you will have to compete against them, and that can be a
Gotcha.
little rough. But
Yeah.
it's friendly competition at the end of the day. You
Yeah.
take it as a
Yeah.
learning experience. But the way that competing there has helped build relationships is, when you go for a competition, there's really only a very few people in the gym that usually compete regularly. So you end up forming a really strong relationship with them, because competing is a very kind of special thing in itself, because you're going against someone that you totally don't know. They look like they're about to kill you. You have no clue what their skills are. And it's just like 100%, like they're just going at you. So it takes a lot of, agility and a lot of quick thinking. And even if you lose, those teammates that are around you that have taken you to the competition and are there with you, they know how to encourage you. They know how to keep you going for the next round, and to give you technique um, in a, I guess, helpful way, so that you know how to improve on yourself. So it's just a very like friendly environment where you're just going and you're trying your best and you're learning, and you're usually there the whole day if you're competing. So you just get to hang out with the people from the gym and maybe go get lunch or dinner afterwards. It's just a fun time.
That's awesome. Yeah. And the fact that, like you said, occasionally you might be competing against someone who you're about to go get dinner with, or that you're hanging out with in your normal life. Yeah. You have to be open to being teachable. It sounds like,
Yes.
just to improve every week, whether that's from a coach or whether that's from a teammate, someone who you're training with. And I imagine you've seen just a lot of growth. You've already named that there's been so much personal growth in the way you even see the world, you said. I'm wondering if you want to say more about that, if you have a specific example you want to share, or just a memory that stands out to you from the last year in Jiu-Jitsu.
Sure. Actually, I would say it's another competition related memory where
Okay.
recently I competed and I did really badly in all the competitions. I did end up losing all of the rounds. And that happened the first time I competed too. I did not win, but it's quite hard to win the first time you compete. And I just remember like being really dejected the first time that I had lost. But
Yeah.
then I saw other teammates of mine lose in their competitions. And even when I was training at the gym, every day that I showed up for class, it was like, some days are better than others. Some days you just don't feel good, you're not moving well. And then others you have the clarity, you're fast, you're strong. And
Sure.
it kind of taught me to get rid of my perfectionist mentality. Because I found that, whether it's in academics, even in art, I tend to be really nitpicky and really like, oh, I need it to be perfect. It needs to feel
Yeah.
amazing. But
Right.
that's not always realistic. Neither is it healthy. But I need to keep going whether or not it's the best that I can do, because sometimes it doesn't look like perfection, but it's better than where you started. So this time when I competed, I did lose all my matches, but I was feeling great. I was level headed. I was open to learning. I was listening to my coaches, and I just saw the improvement than when I first competed. The results might look the same. I still lost, but the way that I approached it and the way that I felt during the competition was there was vast improvement. So it's more so it's taught me like the journey is important rather than just the end goal.
Yes. Oh, that's a powerful lesson. It's a good reminder for me because I feel like growing up, sometimes I didn't want to try something if I couldn't be quote unquote perfect at it.
Same.
Like
Yep.
if there was a chance for failure or not being excellent at it from the start, which very few are excellent at something at the start without working at it, I was intimidated by it or I avoided it. And so just to
Right.
give yourself extra permission, it sounds like, to
Yeah.
fail, to mess up, to learn that the overall growth is what you're celebrating, not just a single competition making you feel like, well, I'm out. Jiu-jitsu is not for me, or I'm not getting the scores I want. I'm not winning, but that you could see it as being transformational for how you're approaching art, school, life in general is really
Very much.
significant. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. Okay. I could definitely hear more about this from you, and you'll still have more examples you'll have to bring to life for us, but I'm curious about Wrestle's organization and would love to hear the same from you, Russell, how you first gotten started, where this falls in place in your life. Like, has it become a big part of your identity? Are there ways that it has shaped you, for the good, just like we heard from Shruthakeerthi? So yeah, take it away. I'm curious to hear what you're going to share.
Since middle school, I've always been involved in my school's newspaper, and I
Nice.
had this column that basically I talked about anything that went outside of like the school's jurisdiction. And I brought that to my high school, and they absolutely loved the idea. And so I continued it there, and I've been continuing it since then. And I've written about like basically anything I like. So, about politics, about my journeys in other countries, about, the environment, things like that. And uh, I've expanded a lot more in there, like becoming more than just a staff writer, just editing and, becoming part of the format team. And then next year I'll be editor in chief.
Oh, congrats. That's awesome.
And so it's a really great community because like when I first started, I was really nervous about joining. Like I knew what I wanted to do, but I didn't know how the others would be there, how they would accept me. But they were very, very accepting. I mean, they're in college now, but when they were juniors, when I was a freshman, like brought me in, they became basically like older brothers for me. And it had that kind of like mentor, like older brother, like relationship. Still in contact with them today because, they're really important in, teaching me and guiding me and things like that. And now I am in their position when for the newcomers who will come freshmen now and those who will join next year. So it's kind of like I take their mantle now. And I've also met a lot of my very close friends through the newspaper and have joined like a bigger group because of that. Um, and so beyond just, writing the things that I, love, I also like formed a community there and and has taught me a lot about, organization and structure,
I'm sure.
and expanded on all of that. So, yeah.
I love hearing that. And it's so cool that this was something you were already doing in middle school, if I got that right. That
Yeah.
like, just because I don't know if all middle schools necessarily would even have that sort of extracurricular opportunity for students in those grades to be contributing to a newspaper. But the fact that you were a freshman coming in, kind of like the new guy, the young guy, and you're pitching ideas that they went for too, instead of them just being like, you haven't been here, you don't know what's up yet. Like, it sounds like you had really receptive leaders there, these older students that you described as being like big brothers. I know you go to an all boys school, and that's so significant because, I think movies and sometimes movies do get it right, but movies and books sometimes paint, such a like upperclassmen, lowerclassmen ranking where there's bullying, there's, these are real things, but we don't often hear examples of stories where it's like, these people took me under their wing in such a kind and conscientious way, and that you feel that same sense of responsibility now to do the same for incoming students or students younger than yourself is really cool to hear you describe. I'm curious, if you're editor in chief, will you still be able to do that special column, or will it?
Yes, like I'm still able to write. It's a lot, like considering everything, because my friend who graduated, who was editor in chief, he's also the guy who designed all the sets and built all the sets for the theater.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And before he became editor in chief, we had another senior who graduated 2 years before, who basically solely focused on newspapers. So he had, a lot more breathing room, but juggling everything and seeing him juggle everything, really puts it in perspective in how, how does he function? I later learned he barely sleeps.
Well, that's often what we hear from students, like all the other interests that they can tap into, or extracurriculars or jobs, etc.
And
so I hope for you, for your own well-being, that you find
like we've tried a lot. We've tried a lot of different like structures. Every beginning of the year, we set out like an outline of, okay, we're going to publish every month. Each week is going to be a different thing. So week 1 is going to be writing. Week 2 will be editing. Week 3 will be formatting and publishing. The thing about that is that a lot of people don't follow through for various reasons. Like some are more, acceptable than others. Like, there was an emergency. They have a
Sure.
bunch of other stuff going on.
Yeah.
But the rest is just, pinned on laziness, basically. And that can be really stressful for, people like the higher ups, who want to get this out and want to, provide this to the school. So like
Yeah.
it's really a matter of, will everybody, follow the rules, follow, the structure, so everybody's, organized and stuff. Hopefully we'll work a better system this year.
It's a lot to pull it together. So it's a monthly release. But
Yeah.
you're right. Each week sort of hinges on the week before of it
Yeah.
wasn't fully accomplished. And yeah, the editor in chief, I know sometimes it's kind of like the buck stops with you in terms of overseeing the process, seeing it through. Do you have a favorite memory so far from the last 3 years of being involved? Something that stands
So
out to you?
probably like kind of like the after, like the meeting, always usually happens the same. We talk about where we're at, any updates, things like that. But it's really what happens after the meeting that really sticks with me. It's because after most of, the people who come and go leave, it's really me, two of my best friends, and especially before Ryan, who was the previous editor in chief, left. Like we were all together and we would just talk and form connections beyond just newspaper. And all those connections, really, became friendships, and it was really nice making, friends that way.
The time in between, even like, yes, you have this structure, you have to see these different deadlines through, but the in betweens is really where these relationships are built and nurtured. And I hear that from you as well, Shruthakeerthi, that like the people you're training with, you're going out to meals with them, you're seeing them beyond, like, yes, at Jiu-Jitsu and in addition to other gatherings and places you're connecting. And I've heard that in other conversations already in recording this season, that people will say, yes, the activity is great. That's what brings us together. But it's so much of what happens beyond and between the activity that really makes me feel a sense of connection or community. I've heard that word said today, either named explicitly or described the essence of. A lot of people, spirituality for them connects with a sense of community. I'm curious about, for both of you, if you consider yourself to be a spiritual and or religious person in any way, and if these activities connect with your sense of spirituality. And you can think it as specific as you want or as broadly as you want in terms of just a sense of meaning, a sense of purpose.
I would say that Jiu-Jitsu doesn't explicitly connect to my spirituality. I do consider myself quite a strong Hindu. I've been raised in the Vedic tradition, and I took a gap year in between to study Hinduism as well and some of the ancient texts. And what I found throughout the study of Hinduism is that Hinduism isn't kind of just stuck to rituals or readings, but rather it's a sort of quest for peace, a quest for mental clarity. And like most religions and practice of spirituality, it's a quest for purpose. So Jiu-Jitsu doesn't necessarily connect in the sense that it has anything to do with Hinduism, honestly, but it helps me in my daily practice, in my connection with my religion, and in the sense that it gives me that mental clarity and it helps instill discipline into my life so that I'm able to carry on with my spiritual practices in a way that is more regimented and is more structured. And like I was talking about Jiu-Jitsu, it has a mind-body connection. It kind of anchors me to this moment. And that's a lot of what, meditation and all of that is also about. It's mindfulness. So in that way, yes, it does does connect in the overall sense, a very broad sense.
Yes. No, I appreciate you giving that broad sense. And I've loved learning bits and pieces from you about what this gap year looked like in terms of deepening your connection to your own Hindu identity and faith tradition within the Vedic tradition. I really honor what you're saying, though, that you're like these principles of peace, of discipline, of clarity, mind-body connection, if that's fair to make it overall characterized in that way, that you see some of the same values or principles uplifted for both in you. So it doesn't tie directly, but the same ways you're trying to go about your days and your life as a whole are guided by some of the same ways of being. And that's really
Perfect way of
profound,
putting it.
actually.
Exactly.
Well, just trying to echo it back, but I'm glad I'm getting it right. What about you, Russell? Does this specific work in the newspaper connect to a sense of meaning or purpose for you?
So on like faith and spirituality, like I'm really neither. Like spirituality, like kind of, I guess, but it doesn't really. I don't really. It's not like I'm atheist or anything. It's just
Yeah.
I don't simply care
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
It's more the fact I really more find a sense of purpose and like the probability of me being here talking right now is so astronomically tiny that there's something in there that makes me want to do more things in life, and that's where I find the sense of purpose. So specifically to newspaper, there isn't really like a direct connection to it, but it's really like my actions in the world and newspaper where, I put my mark on it that, if something would have changed, it probably wouldn't, like if some like random event in, before I was even born changed, probably wouldn't have ever happened. So, that's where I find that little nugget of meaning.
Like in the whole grand cosmic scheme, okay, tell me if I'm right, that you sort of see like you must have a purpose in being here, like where you're at, even in this podcast conversation, like something had to lead to something else, to connect to something else, to get you to where you're at. And what I know about you, Russell, I see you as someone who tries to live with a lot of integrity, even moral integrity. Like you care deeply about the world and think critically about different issues. And so it seems like you don't want to squander an opportunity. You don't want to squander the fact that you showed up in this place and connected to this specific organization or group, or the opportunity to use your voice and connect to maybe a social cause or a world event in your writing. So, I think that everyone gets to define spirituality for themselves, how they want to define it. Springtide's always curious to learn what young people are thinking. And I guess I want to reflect back to you, however you define it. I see you as someone who really tries to move through the world with purpose, and that you don't take, even having a voice, having a platform through this newspaper, that you don't take that lightly in any way. I hear that you really want to put important things out, and having this editor-in-chief role, I think, will even just broaden that. Kind of like with great power comes great responsibility idea. Just having that extra leadership role. Spider-Man? Is that a Spider-Man quote I just brought into the podcast conversation? So this has really been fun talking to you both. If you could give us one piece of advice to close out, if you're thinking about either the organizations that you've mentioned or just organizations as a whole that are looking to attract young people or retain young people in their organizations, make sure young people feel like they matter in the organization and can be involved, what would your advice be for organizations who do really want to be thoughtful about how to connect with and involve young people in their work?
I have advice for young people joining organizations. Does that work?
Great. That's a great way to interpret it. I love it. Yes.
Well, as young people, we are moving through so many different phases in our life, going through so many different organizations, so many different classes, so many just different like educational, institutions that can often be really confusing as to who everyone expects us to be. So my advice to all young people joining any type of organization or institution is don't try to be someone that you think that other people are trying to make you be. Like whether it's college or jiu-jitsu, there's always the stereotypical, this is the type of perfect person that the organization is looking for. But that doesn't mean that you have to fit into those stereotypes, because you bring something very valuable to the table by just being you, by just bringing your thoughts and your opinions and your viewpoints, because the point is not to be a robot, right? Not another, blank check that people are just adding into the mix, but rather a unique individual that's, maybe adding a little lemon.
Yes, they bring in that citric acid again. Oh, that's such good advice. Like, yeah, whatever the mold is, whatever the picture is on the brochure or the website homepage or whatever it is, the literal picture or the picture in your head, be you in your involvement there. Don't feel like you have to live up to someone else's idea of the ideal fill in the blank for whatever you're involving yourself in. Yeah, take up space as yourself and maybe
Exactly.
break some molds in the process. That's a great
A lot of times
advice.
idea that we have even of ourselves, right, of what is perfect, of what is ideal, is not even what people are thinking or expecting. So it ends up being a personal mental block rather than something that's real, that's something that's other people are expecting.
That's even been imposed on you. Yeah, that's true.
Right.
That sometimes we create those molds for ourselves even without others sometimes. Oh, I love it. Okay, Russell, your advice can be like Shruthakeerthi's towards young people, or going to be towards the organizations, however you want to interpret that.
I actually have one for each. So,
Oh, cool.
So for the organizations, if they want to both like bring in and keep young people as members, treat them like equals. Like obviously you're gonna have that like authority, like they're gonna look up to you, but don't make them feel like you're looking down on them.
Sure.
Like for my like when I joined the newspaper, like there still was like that younger brother, like older brother like mentality, but they treated me and talked to me like I was on the same platform as them. Like even the moderator for the newspaper who's a teacher, also, taught to me like an equal. And for, young people wanting to join different organizations, my advice to them is to not oversaturate their like portfolio with just stuff, like just organizations on like whatever, like join every organization, resume building, like join a select few organizations that really matter to you and like stick with them all the way, that really make an impact, like with newspaper, with theater, with choir. I've been doing those like for a long time. I've been doing those since the beginning. So like, and that really builds your connection to that organization, and really elevates, like, there's a quote, I forget who said it. It's like as wide as an ocean, but as deep as a puddle. Like all of these people have so many like organizations, but their involvement in them is
Surface
barely.
level.
Yeah, surface level. But if you have 5 organizations, it's small, but it goes deep.
And 5 is still a lot for some people.
And it is still a lot.
So depth, yes. Let you really immerse yourself in the people, the relationships that you both have highlighted so much, and getting to really hone in on who you are in that organization, what you can contribute, what you can get out of it, instead of just like, oh, I went to this club 3 times, so I think that's enough to put it on my college application or my resume or whatever it might be. And sometimes people are still figuring out what they want to involve themselves in. But what I hear from you is when you find something that lights you up in some way, like dig in deep into that. And I love what you said about organizations too. And just like take young people seriously, their ideas, their leadership, what they have to contribute, that they're not there just as an accessory, but they're there as an actual significant member that should be respected and valued and heard with sincerity. So I hope you both know that I think the world of you. Your ideas matter to me and to Springtide as a whole. This conversation has been so fun. Do you have any last thoughts that you wanted to get out that haven't come out yet today?
I just want to thank Springtide. Thank you for this platform. Like
Oh,
Russell was saying,
thank
this is so
you.
important, and you guys always make us feel so valued with whether it's the lives or our meetings or these podcasts or any of the projects. It's very rare for young people to have the platform to really freely express our thoughts in a very organized and structured manner. So thank you all for doing this.
That's great to
and
hear.
I'm grateful to be part of this podcast.
I love
to have this with you.
the examples you both brought to life. I so respect who you both are, just as people in general. Thank you for what you brought today and beyond today. I think your words of advice and the stories you each shared will help organizational leaders and will help young people themselves find their own place and to hopefully be themselves in these groups and in these places of association. So thank you, Russell. Thank you, Shruthakeerthi. And stay tuned because we'll have another episode dropping next week in our new podcast, 13 to 25.
Visit springtideresearch.org to learn more about our research and resources, centering the perspectives and experiences of young people ages 13 to 25. As a nonpartisan, nonprofit organization, Springtide Research Institute is committed to listening to young people and sharing accessible social scientific research along with actionable insights. Visit our website to find ways to support our work and discover ways that we can support yours. You can find and follow us on social media at We Are Springtide. If you're enjoying 13 to 25, we invite you to rate, review, and share the podcast with a friend. And we'd love to share a conversation with you. Send your questions or comments to info@springtideresearch.org. Today's show was produced by Marte Aboagye, audio mixing by Andy Palmer, opening and closing by Amy Chow, and original music by Christian Unthank, who was 14 when he produced this track. Special thanks to the guests featured in today's conversation and all the young people between 13 to 25 whose insights and perspectives make our research possible. Thanks for listening and for supporting the teens and 20-somethings in your own life.